I'm gonna give in. I'm sick of feeling so sick, so sick, so sick. The more that I fight the noise in my life, the more I find the words that started the fire. I wanna survive, I wanna ignite, but I'm still resting on the edge of my night, begging for a sign of gravity, hoping for a change beneath my feet. Come show me, just show me my remedy. So show me how to forgive, or show me how to forget the words that you love to spit. I'm sick of fighting for grip. I know I'm gonna give in because it makes me so sick, so sick, so sick. The more that I fight the noise in my life, the more I find the words that started the fire. I wanna survive, I wanna ignite, but I'm still resting on the edge of my night, begging for a sign of gravity, hoping for a change beneath my feet. Come show me, just show me my remedy. The more and more that you speak, I sink with sanity down, down, down to the bottom. The more and more that you speak, I sink with sanity down, down, down to the bottom. I'm sick of standing on pins. I think I'm gonna give in. I'm sick of feeling so sick, so sick, so sick. The more and more that you speak, down, down to the bottom. The more and more that you speak, I sink with sanity down, down, down to the bottom. So show me how to forgive, or show me how to forget the words that you love to spit. I'm sick of fighting for grip. I know I'm gonna give in because it makes me so sick, so sick. The more that I fight the noise in my life, the more I find the words that started the fire. I wanna survive, I wanna ignite, but I'm still resting on the edge of my night, begging for a sign of gravity, hoping for a change beneath my feet. Come show me, just show me my remedy. Transmission, but it's not Another day, another broken plan. Feels like the world is slipping through my hands. I think I'm losing control. Can't seem to find my way home. I sat and watched my only map turn itself into stone. I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. That's screaming over radio silence. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you're breaking up. I wonder if you'll ever understand. I sacrifice you to avoid the end. I think that you'll never know just how low I would go to save myself from all the madness in your undertone. I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. That's screaming over radio silence. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up.
Hi everybody, it's Derek Perniciglio for Super Clean. But whether you work around the shop, the garage, or the home, spills are going to happen. And now, Super Clean introduces their new Super Clean floor absorbent into their new product line to make cleaning up spills faster and easier. This all-natural product comes in an easy-to-pour 3-pound shaker jug. Just shake out the amount you need over your spill, give it a few minutes to absorb, and then clean up in an instant. Unlike traditional clay products, this product is virtually dust-free and absorbs 4 times faster. Now, we break out our Super Clean cleaner and degreaser for a 1-2 punch to clean up the stain completely. You can pick up your own 3-pound shaker jug of all-natural Super Clean at AutoZone, and you can also check us out at superclean.com. Super Clean, super easy, super fast, super clean.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the second round of the 2022 iRacing Short Course National Series, live from iRacing's virtual Bark River International Raceway and Bark River, Michigan. My name is Justin Prince. Alongside me in the booth tonight is Dave Arnold, the voice of off-road. Our producer this evening is Ryan Bauer, and he is using cameras provided by the great Ducky Beard. One race down, plenty of action to go to start things off in the season, and the first round of the season was an intense one to say the very least, Dave. Now, switch things over to Bark River for the second round of the campaign. Gonna be very intriguing to see which drivers take the momentum from last week on forward, but also which drivers bounce back from some cases, for some competitors, a rough start.
Yeah, most definitely. I can tell you, Justin, one of the things that showed a lot of speed right out of the box was Mason Prater, but Keaton Swain blew me away. But guys you talked about that struggled a little bit, guys like Darren Hardesty, and of course, Tyler Sherlock, he was up there, but he could have been up there swinging a little bit harder. Zach Drackman, he's looking for a little bit of pump up there, get up to the box, and fight this one out for sure. But a big change coming from high speed at, of course, the big house at Crandon, but now moving on to Bark River, a much tighter track.
And in turn, will provide plenty of different challenges for our competitors today. This should be interesting to see which drivers come on top here in turn, and based on what you've seen, what do we expect from a track like this today?
Well, I'll tell you, they're going to be fighting into the turns for sure, because this is, not as wide in some areas. Bark River definitely can be a one-line track for sure. So we're going to see a lot of shoehorn in there. They're going to try and get in there. They're going to try and keep slamming the door and the guys going to the inside. We'll see if some can make to the pass to the outside, but it is difficult. You're going to have to force your way up to the top. You're going to have to get a great qualifying, be up front, and get a great start. That's going to be the key.
See with our Google Earth images today, with this 1.5 mile 12-turn circuit, the challenges will indeed be immense, especially in that section from turn 6 all the way to 12 for the initial turn around the racetrack. Plenty of action expected here at this facility that's been open since the 1970s here in the state of Michigan. And in turn, it's going to be also intriguing how that momentum in turn shifts, with this being the first of 3 visits, essentially, to this facility this season. The on-screen, the schedule now in turn 2, as mentioned, those 3 times at Bark River, a few times over to Wild Horse, West on the schedule a couple times, but essentially, this is towards that first stretch of races for all the drivers, essentially, Dave, their first run through the circuits.
Well, a lot of these drivers, of course, that have been here through the series are very familiar with a lot of these rounds. A lot of these are historic tracks in real life, too, and that's what's great about a lot of these top drivers have driven this in real life and as well as in the e-platform, and that comes to a big advantage to some of the drivers like Connor Berry, Keaton Swain, that we'll see. I know Darren Hardesty has a lot of experience to see if he's going to be able to fight up, but it is definitely going to be interesting seeing the different driving styles, how they adapt to each track.
Especially since these drivers had an intriguing start to their campaigns. Let's take a look at the podium race analysis for today. Keep in mind, up to 3 heats are available, 6 laps apiece, with 4 drivers advancing directly to the feature. As well, keep in mind, as mentioned with that, LCQs will see about 3 drivers at most advance directly to the feature, so there's not a lot of room for error. And don't forget, there is a competition caution at the end of lap 5. Now, Dave, heading back towards this discussion point, you mentioned some of the drivers that look to try and bounce back after a rough start to the campaign. Who do you feel this track is in the wheelhouse of, knowing their track mindsets and skill sets?
Well, I'm not going to take anything away from Connor Berry. He has a lot of experience. He knows how to win here, too, for sure. But I'm looking at Hardesty to come back. I mean, he fought. He got shuffled to the back. He got a bad start. Of course, got caught up in a lot of the drama there. He did fight his way up through positions, but I think he's going to do that real well in this one. I believe keeping also an eye on Titus Sherlock.
Keep in mind, some of the names you just mentioned there, too, are very quick in practice as well. Right now, drivers in turn, reference are down to their final minute of solo qualifying, 4 laps to do so for tonight's action. And in turn, with the difference markers, with how this track can fare out, how do you feel that start launch will be compared to that land rush we've seen from Grandin?
Well, of course, they're going to be lined up according to qualifying. They are doing the land rush, but they're in 2 long lines. This is going to be nose to tail, side by side. So a lot of the time, if you don't qualify well, you're going to be deep in the field. You're not going to be able to get that chance to try and rush up to the front. This is going to be a little bit more difficult when you get in that line and you start that way. It's a rolling start.
Indeed, and the reason I asked that too is we see how crazy that run through the first corners got at Grandin. Some drivers, at least half the field in some cases, flipped upside down.
Yeah, it could be gnarly. The land rush, it's the only place that we do it at, of course, is there. And it really makes a lot of these drivers stand out and try to get out front. Here, it's going to be a little bit more patience. You're going to have to be a little bit more careful because you're going to see on the start, they'll try and fan out a little bit. But as you can see, there's not that many places that are that wide open where you can get 3-4 wide like you could there. It is some, half the track very tight. The other track you're going to get a lot of speed at, but it still doesn't open up as much.
Drivers are now getting the opportunity to make their way to the racetrack. Keep in mind, there is a 2-car invert based on qualifying positions for the front row. Mason Prater and Connor Berry swapped spots in turn after qualifying. It was Berry who had the quickest time in the session. Crystal King starts in row 2 alongside Zachary Drapkin. Then the 3rd row, Jay Bryce starts alongside Tyson Miller this evening. They were separated by about 2/10 in qualifying. Cody Retzlaff joins the field tonight alongside Noah Sanders in 7th and 8th. Lon Franks, keep an eye on that machine, was fairly quick last time, with Cross Birchmeyer in 10th position. Hunter Carpenter starts 11th tonight in the first heat, with Franklin Monack in 12th. Rory Folsom starts 13th. Jake Hill starts in the 14th position. Miles Morris in the 117s in qualifying starts 15th. Eric Cox in 16th. The last driver to set a time in the session in this grouping was Bill Lester. Luis Patino starts in 18th. Jeffrey Keeble and Trey Hernquist, the last of the drivers, 20 drivers, in heat number 1 this evening. Let's take a look at your weather conditions brought to you by Martin Sports this evening. 84 degrees is the track temperature, 72 degrees the air temp, as it is iRacing Day, May 15th, 2022. Happy spring for those in the iRacing world. And in turn, less than 30 seconds until the drivers will get themselves rolling here for the 6-lap heat race, Dave. Your expectations for this?
Well, Connor Berry, I'll tell you, he's sitting out front there, but Mason Prater, he is the defending champion. So Prater's going to really have to try and guard that position there. I think this is going to be a great start. Keep an eye on Prater, though, right out front. This kid is hard to stop. But Connor Berry, back in the series, showed so much speed. He's going to be fighting with Mason, but it's going to be a clean one. I know these young drivers, and they respect each other.
Definitely going to be interesting how this fares out to start off tonight's action. Keep in mind, this series presented by CBR Performance Products, AIM Sports Data, Super Clean, Dirt Sports World, Signature Propellers, Positive Beverage, and Smith Graphics. The drivers are set to go. The green flag is waving. We're underway for heat racing from Bark River. And some bumping and baiting for second already. Crystal King with the driver nearly on top of him. And now, here comes Ripken sliding along to the inside of King. King gets shuffled along. She now gets bounced about a little bit as the one machine back to fourth, but the rest of the field single filing up for the first part of the track.
Ripken had a great run as he came there, and he fought, of course, with Crystal King. You know, a little bit of contact's going to happen, but this is the fast section here. Great shot. You can see on board how he is working and slicing that car. Slight maneuver back and forth, trying to keep that truck hooked up through there. But, man, I'll tell you, Mason Prater shot right out of the can. He knows he's got to stay out in front of Connor Berry now.
Only one driver with major issues this lap so far. Bill Lester at the back of the field, flipped upside down. Is back going, though. See right now in that fourth position battle, Ripken still keeping up with pressure from King. There's also Miller who's dealing with the battle on behind to close up. Shea Price is side by side for the battle going on for about sixth position to back drop. Here's a look for Mason Prater. You see his webcam hard working around that wheel as they get ready to finish the first lap and do.
And you can see the little micro maneuvers he makes, and then he goes in the turn. He'll give it that hard hit there. Slight adjustments back, and that's how he's keeping it. It's not just hold that wheel straight. You got to constantly kind of feel it, and that's what Mason's doing. He's feeling those vibrations, feeling the track.
See, at the same time, Connor Berry keeping wheel to wheel with them so far. Separation half a second in terms of the lap times. Ripken with a bit of a trouble. Ripken sliding a bit and about the 56. Now with the run from King to Lawn. They make their way through the jumps. King still can't make the move, though. The 56 still defending well, but pushed to the other line.
Yeah, it looked like Ripken stepped out a little bit too wide through that line, and Crystal's getting in. She couldn't capitalize on it, but she now knows she can push him in that turn just a little bit. And you can see now side by side, King trying to get a run. He's going to go for that inside line. Here we go. Oh, God, Ripken's going to hold on to it as he makes that right-hander.
Ripken, though, slammed again by Crystal King. Nowhere for King to go again. The factory SimSport machine still stuck on behind as they make their way for the end of the second lap. A crazy battle for these drivers for third. Keep in mind, Miller is leading a threesome choo-choo train in the next group on behind this. Here's the look from Berry, meanwhile. And no fan waving him hello from above this time. Full focus solely on the car itself, in the truck itself.
Well, with all those first place and championship trophies sitting up on that, his desk there, you can see he's trying to intimidate a few drivers out there. That young man knows how to put it on top of the box, but it's, of course, Mason Prater with that number one. He is the defending champion. He knows how to win championships, and he's going to do everything he can. Berry getting back in there to the right rear core panel, trying to push him around, had to back off because he didn't want to spin him out.
Your contact indeed there still separates 6/10 amongst them. Ripken and King still third and fourth. Miller, Price, Cody, Retzlaff. The top seven currently on the racetrack. Exciting action at the halfway point already, Dave. I will say, a lot of respect being shown by these drivers today. Very little incidents compared to what we've seen last time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, with that land rush, it really brought a lot of the physicality out into the short course. I always say short course, a little bit of MMA involved there, and they do throw elbows every once in a while. But, and of course, the old adage comes, to finish first, you must finish. And I think a lot of these drivers are realizing how realistic these sim races are. And if you want to come out a champion like Mason Prater, you're going to have to drive clean.
It's going to be tough at the same time. You have to think for Miller to close up to King currently. 2 seconds, the separation from fourth to fifth currently. Last time by 6/10 at least, lost by Tyson Miller.
Definitely, you see those gaps back there from fourth to 50 you talked about, but it looks like fifth place right now. Abel, I believe that's Miller, has a little bit of breathing room. Price dropped back, and like you said, Retzlaff really trying to hound him now.
Yes, indeed, Cody Retzlaff, known for a lot of real-world experience as well. Trying to battle right behind this red machine you're following. Here's the look with Retzlaff now to the inside. Retzlaff in the blue machine. Right side of the track, that's Price trying to hunt to the inside. The Premier Racing setups machine now dived underneath. Retzlaff bullies him out of the way. Retzlaff moves up to 6th.
And that was a beautiful outside-inside move. And it looks like almost a clip of the K-rail that went by. But Retzlaff on point, make his way. And that was a clean pass. Laid on him a little bit, but that's what you want. Side-to-side contact's okay. It's just you don't want to go into a point where you can actually change the position or the angle of the other car. So that's what I like to see. Very clean driving.
Down to the final 2 laps of this respective heat, by the way. Here's a look up for the race lead still. Prater and Berry still bumper to bumper. Berry with the run, though. Berry with the pass. Prater has an issue. Prater is stopped on the track.
You gotta wonder, did something go on with the motor?
Did he cut the course, Dave?
Oh, cut the course, okay. Because I didn't see any smoke coming out.
I believe that was a slowdown we are hearing, and that can happen if you cut a portion of the track. Where did it happen, though?
That's what we're trying to figure out. Looking on point right there.
It'll be right around here we're hearing.
I think we're watching just as intense as the fans at home to find out, and there it is. Looks like that left wheel did clip onto the grass, and that's where Berry overtakes him then. Okay.
Sometimes it's a matter of inches sometimes in that mark.
Yeah.
In turn, Berry is leading by 2.4 seconds, has now taken the white flag. Rapkins in 2nd, Prater is now back to 3rd, King's in 4th. So for Connor Berry, just half a track to try and secure a heat race victory in this one.
I'll tell you, that CVR General Tire machine looking clean. He's just going to wrap this one up. The white flag is flying right now. I don't think anyone's going to have an answer for Berry, of course, until the main event, and I think the gloves will come off.
That be the case throughout the night. We'll see. It's Connor Berry down to the final sections. Now has a friend to join and avoid. Hunter Carpenter from the pit lane nearly wrecks the leader. Meanwhile, side by side for 2nd behind. Dropkin and Prater have to deal with Carpenter. Carpenter stops as Berry waves towards the checkered. Coming up to the final corner, Connor Berry will win the first heat race of the night and move on to the feature. Dropkin, Prater, Kane rounds out the top 4 in the advancing spots, but it was another eventful final section, similar to what happened last week.
Didn't it last week? I do believe also last lap. Driver came out of the pits, same thing. Got almost tied up with him.
Here's a look at the results. First driver out, Miller, followed by Retzlaff, Price, Sanders, Branks, Birchmeyer. Then it is Folsom, Monarch, Hill, Hornquist, Dino, followed by, of course, Lester, lone lap down Carpenter, Keeble, Cox. Just wrapping up. Now to close out Heat 1's grouping. As a matter of fact, the 541 will be the last driver to take the checker flag. And an eventful first heat, we'll say. Great racing up at the front right before that, and Mason Prater has confirmed in that section we've seen with some of that bumping and banging, right before that little cut, there was the slowdown, Dave. That was what was the difference for the heat win.
Yeah, that definitely made a difference there, and it was just by inches, like you said. Didn't take much, but the officials are taking it serious. They want everybody to drive clean, but they also want to drive by the rules, and that's staying on the track. You know, that could be 2nd right there. You cut corners a few times, a couple seconds add up.
Let's take a look at Heat 2's running order. Darren Hardesty, Keenan Swain start on the front row. Swain was the fastest driver in terms of qualifying for this grouping, 2nd overall. Then behind, it's Felix Roy, the iRacing World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars World Championship Series, with Ethan Ebert in 4th. Holden Wright Ritter will start.
Wright Ritter.
Yes, indeed. In 6th position, James Burke. Orson, followed by Brock Smith. Very important name for this community, Dave, as well, from the A spot. Shane Paul starts in 9th, Brian Clement in 10th. Then it's Metzinger in 11th, with Tinker in 12th. Watson and Johnson, 13th, 14th. Brightsman starts 15th. Trey Blank starts in 16th. Then right on behind, it is Ramsey, along with Geshik, McCordle will round out the field with Darrell Wold. Who are you keeping an eye on in this respective grouping, Dave, to see how they fare out for Heat 2?
Well, I talked about Hardesty early on, and of course Hardesty starting right up front there, so that's going to be one keep it on. But Keaton Swain, so much speed that guy shows. He's sitting second in points right behind Connor Berry, so he has a lot to prove. He's got that momentum. He's going to try and keep that going.
Going to be exciting to say the least in that. I will say with the 512, I know he runs in a lot of the Railroad Invitational stuff as well, Dave. Keep an eye on him as well towards that edge of the top 5.
Yeah, Holden Heidritter, one of my young drivers that I've watched grow up through short course. Great to see him, and a very talented young driver, too.
With that, the drivers are just about set to go. Hardesty going full immersion tonight with the VR headset. His game face is on. The drivers are ready to see Barney the flagman let them go. It's time to set things on up. Heat 2, ready to go for iRacing Short Course National Series competition. It's Hardesty and Swain in the front row. Green flag is out. We're back to racing from Burke River. And a great run from Swain on the outside. Swain to the race lead already. Several cars go wide as Ebert jumps up to second to try and pass Hardesty and buoys him out of the way. 3 wide through the corner.
Ethan Ebert, great to see him jump right up there. Of course, he's that Ultra Motorsports sponsored driver, but he's got challenger Borison making a run. Hardesty gets by again. Great shot there, immersed in his action there during Hardesty. And you can see a great onboard video going on there. You can see the suspension working as it undulates over the course.
These Pro 4 trucks definitely working very hard around this circuit right now. 3 wide right behind him, meanwhile. Heidritter currently battling side by side with Borison. Borison, remember, had some exciting action until he was hit hard from the side by Paul into a hairpin corner and has already bumped into the 512 now 3 times this lap.
Heidritter just threw him an elbow back to make that pass as he goes up a position there. You can see behind him is Borison, Paul, Smith, still battling out. Once again, top 3 will qualify.
Yes, indeed, the top 4, in fact, move directly on to the feature.
I'm sorry.
Top 3, remember, for the LCQs tonight.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Swain in the lead by sizable margin, 1.3 seconds. Here's the look from Hardesty, still battling for second. Ebert is currently in 4th. 1 second buffer for their grouping. The next driver on back is the 512 currently, who is a man on a mission right now. Holden is coming in quickly to catch up to this grouping, especially with the shoving now leading the grouping. Roy tries to hold on to second. Hardesty gets a bump. Ebert gives a bump. They all line back up, sliding to the inside of the corner.
Well, early on, we talked about the talent that's out there, and right there it is showing. You can see Ethan Ebert wearing his Talon driving suit there, young driver driving for Honda now. And I'll tell you, he is a terror on the track in real life, and now I'm just blown away at the speed that he's showing right now. Him and Heidritter, I can see these two having some battles for a while.
Heidritter's just put his truck in the wall, though. Has lost all the time. This lap smacked the right side of the wall hard, Dave.
Well, that's going to about bode well for qualifying for him for sure.
Still less than 4 laps to work up towards the back end of the 57 right now in Sim. It's a 1 second deficit to close up, but the battle is still on with Hardesty. Felix Roy, the Jim Beaver Esports machine, still trying to block and hold in the lines. Hardesty losing a bit of ground now this sector.
You gotta wonder though, driving, versus the virtual screens, or at least 3 screens like some of the drivers we see with their setups, or multiple screens I should say, versus driving in immersed there. You gotta wonder if that sometimes messes with some of these drivers. I know some of the drivers that started out with it actually went back to a different style.
Going to be so intriguing how that plays out as Ebert tries to play to the inside. Bit of a squeeze, works a checkup. And it's crazy how calm Ethan looks right now. I think that was the quickest facial motion we've just seen. Other than that, it's been straight-faced all run.
Well, one of the things we've already referred, this is their office. They are serious in there. They're relaxed. You don't want to be uptight. You don't want to be nervous. You don't want to show a lot of emotion. And that's what these drivers are. They're just old hands at it now. Another day at the office.
Especially an office that is undulating and having a lot of jumps to deal with.
Yeah, just like any good day out there.
Meanwhile, you have Hardesty, who is essentially driving with one hand, with his right hand on the gear shifter, left hand on the wheel itself, the wheel actually lighting up as he goes through the track. As our producer says, have to be a certain type of person to drive it.
Well, let me explain a little bit about what we saw from Ethan Ebert, to what Darren Hardesty. Ebert came out of the karts, driving up to Pro Lights, just learning the shifting thing. Hardesty came out of karts into Pro Buggy. Pro Buggy, your hand never leaves that gear shift, so you can see that style is stuck with them, and it's paying off.
You see that difference? Apples to oranges, left to right, essentially, on your screen on the left side. And guess what? It's closed up, coming up towards the final 2 laps now, to the point where the 512 is there. The 512 nearly goes for the bicycle. Heidritter is there.
Well, you talked about how fast Heidritter has moved up through the field. It is just amazing. He's still one spot out of that qualifying, but he is not backing off of Ebert. These two, no stranger to racing in real life, as well as the virtual world. I think they kind of know each other's style.
How does the pass fare out is the big question. This is for the final transfer for this respective heat. Heidritter with the send. Can't quite get to Ebert yet. Separation now 6/10. Coming up to the 3rd and final sector for this respective lap, now through turns 6, 7, and 8. Meanwhile, Swain is already approaching the white flag this time around. Swain has been dominant. Once again, almost 3 seconds the lead.
Swain, I'll tell you, he has just stepped his game up from last season. The first round, he was quick. He was fast. Well, I'll tell you what, this qualifying session, that boy has not changed one bit, if not got faster.
That time by, the white flag waving from Barney to Flagman, as here's the look of the battle for 4th. Heidritter needs to close up 5 truck lengths to have a chance to move on directly to the feature. Ebert has been stronger in the final section of the racetrack throughout this heat. Heidritter has been quicker, though, in sections 1 and 2.
Ebert looking still calm back there, trying to hold off that advantage from Heidritter. Didn't rattle him at all. He's got a little bit of a breather right here, the final lap. I don't see there's enough track left right now for Heidritter to make up that distance.
Need some mistakes, possibly. Heidritter still behind. In fact, both of them are reeling in Hardesty a little bit. In fact, all of them separating near identical distances, truck lengths-wise, the final sections of the racetrack. Meanwhile, up at the front, Keaton Swain has led every lap of this respective heat. The gap now more than 3 seconds for the final few corners. 1 lap truck is ahead. Ramsey not expected to be a factor. But for Keaton Swain, race towards trying to battle for a title continues on. Another strong run, another heat. Going the direction of Swain, he wins heat 2. Roy 2nd, Hardesty 3rd. Ebert does hold on to round out the top 4. No smile yet from the 57, but he will smile eventually, likely, with Heidritter being the first driver out in heat 2, Dave.
I love that stone-faced look for my young drivers. They are seasoned professionals at their tender ages there.
See him already trying to get things ready before his respective heat. The last of the drivers coming across. Blank will be the final driver, in fact. 19 did make it around the racetrack, won multiple laps down. But it's Swain, Roy, Hardesty, Ebert who move on directly to the feature. Heidritter, Forreston, the first drivers out. Then it's Paul, Smith, Metzinger, Clement, the top 10. James Watson quietly went 13 to 11. Tinker started, finished where he was in 12. James Burke, after being caught upside down at one point, still finished in 13th. McCorkle in 14th. Keshik in 15th. Breitzman, Blank, Ramsey, Wold, the 19 drivers, this respective heat. So the driver's having a little bit of a quick breather because Ramsey is still coming across the line in a modified now without a front clip. Ricky Johnson, worth noting, did not take the green either. But now, speaking of drivers who will look to try and take this respective green, 19 trucks for the third and final heat of the night. Christopher Plumlee will try and bring a plum purple machine from the front row tonight, with Nicholas Donchelet should say, in second. Simon Owen Grady starts third and fourth respectively. Zach Knowles in fifth. Titus Sherlock, you mentioned, keep an eye on that machine, starting in sixth tonight. Then it's Andrew Keepers and Ryan Linder, 7th and 8th, just behind the 099 in the 500. Anthony Gaudio in 9th position. Then it's Minder in the 10th position. 11th goes to Reese Newer. Then it's Aiden Irvin in the 12th spot. 13th goes to Drake Patag. Then it's Dennis Crosby in 14th. Cooper and Posey start 15th and 16th respectively. It's Chase Carr, Jordan Sims, and the last driver, Matt Sabre. Keep in mind, Carr, Sims, and Sabre did not take qualifying times, hence why they're at the back of this respective grid. In turn, Dave, who are you keeping an eye on this one?
Ooh. Wow. I'm kind of curious to see how Drake Matag's going to be doing on there, but Semino, I'll tell you, Plumlee, man, he has showed some speed in the past as well as Nicholas Donchelet, but we'll have to see. I think Plumlee's going to have the advantage, but I think Donchelet is going to fight him all the way there, if not make a pass.
All right, Donchelet was fairly quick in practice amongst the top 15 drivers. They're following it up with the third quickest qualifying time overall. The drivers having another few moments as well. I'm curious as well how some say, like Reese Newer will handle, being in and going the full immersion route tonight. And he seems to be excited that he's on camera.
That's pretty cool seeing him there looking that good in that race suit there. Looks like an IndyCar suit he had on. Gotta love it.
I believe that may have been a Hunter Ray suit. Either way, that suit will get to work. Green flag is out. We're off and away. Plumlee with a poor launch. Here comes Donchelet to the outside. Letting Donchelet with the run and getting the pass quickly. Goes the number 23 to the race lead already.
Well, I expected him to do that, but he did it quicker than I thought for sure. Donchelet up front up there, Plumlee, but he's getting a little bit of heat right now from Grady and Sherlock. And don't forget about Semino back there, also very quick.
Couple drivers in trouble. Sherlock nearly set off the track. One is off the track at the back of the grouping in Linder. The rest of the drivers able to get through cleanly. Zach Knowles was the one who made contact with Sherlock. Sherlock has just bumped someone out of the way for fifth. Here's the look for Knowles now. Meanwhile, now keeping up with the lead group, everybody else is trying to avoid a wrecking truck. That was Andrew Keepers in the backdrop, as Knowles is the only person so far we've seen on camera tonight without a racing suit.
Well, looking pretty sharp there, right there. He's focused for sure. He looks really calm. That's what I like looking at these drivers. You know, the calmer, the less motion you have. You can see he's very precise, little micro adjustments just to keep that truck on track.
And you can see the amount of suspension work. Look at that right front. You talked about it a bit in the first round, how that suspension functions. For those watching for the first time, how does this work to try and handle the truck, especially knowing how much that wheel is bouncing around in the air?
Believe it or not, those suspension on these things are so smooth. I mean, you have up to 18 inches of travel, these things. You know, you can see the truck stays pretty level as that suspension drops up, comes back in, sucks it up. I mean, the technology is incredible, and you can see the design with his sims have done incredible to simulate real-life applications there, and it is spot on.
Might be part of the reason a lot of the rear-world drivers we see, Dave, in the short course community are some of the top drivers in the sim as well.
Oh, absolutely. I can't even argue that. I totally agree 100%. And I watched Connor Berry when he started racing sims and how it translated to his real-life driving. It actually made him a little bit better.
Here's a look, meanwhile, at Titus Sherlock. He's the first man out right now, and remember, had started off in a strong spot, was battling for fourth, and then got bumped by Knowles, and now has 4 laps to get back up to the 099.
Definitely his slid back just a little bit, but being one position off is frustrating, and you got to calm down. You got to stay level-headed there. Once you start overdriving the car, you'll start to see those guys pull away. Drive your lines, keep focus. That's the key.
Absolutely. Right now, Sherlock, one of the quickest drivers on the track last time by a 1:13.3. That was nearly identical, by the way, by 2/1000 of a second to Dashalay's race times in the race lead. Keep in mind, that's also with Plumlee trying to give a little bit of bumps. Plum Purple Machine able to hold on for now as Grady now goes for a bump with Knowles. Here comes Sherlock to try and hunt for the race battle.
You teamed up. Knowles got back out on the marbles there, lost a lot of traction, couldn't get the hiccup. That's why I talk about this track being narrow. The race line's narrow. There's plenty of room on the outside, but it's like riding on ice back there, so you don't want to get on that outside. You can see Zach has composed himself, he's settling down, and now he's working on him again.
Of note, one driver's just had to put their truck on the tow. That's Jordan Sims. The rest of the drivers are continuing to rumble about here. But now it's third, fourth, and fifth group together. 3 laps to go in Heat 3. Knowles nearly jumping into the back end of Tom Grady's truck. Still able to work it around as Knowles with a hard bump along the dirt.
Yeah, you can see when he gets out there on the outside, just starts losing a little traction. You got to be real careful there. Knowles trying to keep it up there a little bit deeper. You see that line here, he's trying to tighten it up.
And here's the thing, Sherlock's the fastest driver on the track too, Dave. You mentioned not the tough position of being in 5th. He was quicker than the leader by 1/10 and a half last time by.
That doesn't shock me. As much as I respect him, but he's also a records for checkers type of guy for sure. He's going to put it all on the table. He's not going to leave anything out there in the pits.
Oh, trouble in front, nearly turning around in front is Grady. Contact with Knowles as Knowles buoys his way up to 3rd. Grady tries to reach. Grady can't grab back to the 0.99.
Well, Grady's just got to stay back in the focus, get back in, hit his marks there. Knowles took advantage when he went a little too wide there and left the door open for him.
Down to 2 laps to go, and the door is open meanwhile for Sherlock to try and hunt down for a clue that will help get that final transfer spot directly to the feature from the heat races. Sherlock now within 3 truck lengths, now down the straightaway heading towards turns 4, 5, and 6. And this may have just 1 lap being the chance, Dave, for this move to be done at this rate with Sherlock.
I am sorry, I lost total audio on you. I did not hear the question.
Sherlock not going to have a lot of time here, Dave, to get this done.
No, not at all. And he's going to have to take some chances if he wants to qualify now. You see that gap there. White flag's going to be coming out just any moment here. And that's not how you're going to do it. And that's what the officials are looking for. You get into that green part, that means you're going to start to get that slowdown. We saw it happen earlier.
White flag waving this time. The black flag is waving for Reese Newer as a result of contact.
Ooh.
Of note, the driver in front of him, and Minder, is just flipped upside down, is now right side up. For the final time around, this is the battle for 6th.
Yeah, that was Chaden Zane Minder and that KB engineering machine.
And they're not happy over the radio, we'll say. Meanwhile, Sherlock is trying to still close up in front of them, because it's now a little bit of a bigger buffer for Grady. Grady has built up the gap, in fact, around this past lap or so.
Well, they're definitely running out of real estate there. Grady, though, he is really driving smooth. But look at this, Sherlock catching up there within about 2 truck lengths now.
Will there be enough time to make a lunge? Grady trying to hold on to the final transfer spot. Separation still a truck length and a half. Final quarter of this race for this respective heat. Dashalay and Plumlee keeping things calm in 1st and 2nd. Grady having to defend a little bit harder. Sherlock nearly gets there. Final corners around. Sherlock, 3 more corners to work around. Sherlock pushes hard, nearly pushes towards the wall. Checker flag up in front. Dashalay wins the heat. Plumlee 2nd. Grady holds on to 3rd. Knowles gets past. as he gets shuffled to 4th. Zach Knowles, I believe. Zach Knowles had a very rough final corner. That's why there was just a swamp with Grady there, Dave.
Yeah, definitely saw it coming around, but did you see Sherlock coming right at that checker flag? He was within inches. Knowles, very lucky with Grady.
It was very tight. Let's put it that way. How tight? 3/100ths of a second tight.
Jeez.
Dachelet, Plumlee, Grady, Knowles do move on, though. Sherlock, Domino, Keepers, Minder. Round up the top 8. Audio. Then it's Mateg. You've seen a little bit of shuffling because the black flag mentioned for Newer. Then it's Irvin, Crosby, Linder, covering from a spin off the track. Cooper, Carr, Sabre, Posey, Newer. Gets the black flag as mentioned. That puts him 18th. Jordan Sims did not finish. The drivers already are going straight on through towards LCQs for tonight. 3 advance directly to the feature. The rest go home. Tyson Miller starts on the pole. It's down to Sherlock in second. Orson and Price, row 2. Keepers and Metzener in row 3. Row 4 feature 9. Von Franks and Anthony Audio. And it's in Folsom. Right. The next row will be Irvin and Burke. Then right on behind will be Hill, Linder, Yeshik, Patino, followed by Carr and Blank. Then this large field continues to Lester and Posey, followed by Ramsey and Cox. And the last driver on the grid be Jordan Sims. The drivers already are revving their engines. 4 laps, top 3 advance, green flag is out. We're racing from Bark River. And again, that left side of the track, the better place to launch. Sherlock to the lead. Once again, the second place starter makes the pass to take the lead into the first corner.
Justin, I think you nailed it every time we've seen from the outside. That seems to be the quick line for sure. And I'll tell you, Sherlock had to be happy in that position, jumping right out front.
Especially with the Hornets' nest starting to build up for that battle for third. Look at Price and Borison, also grouped up as keepers. Bumper to bumper to bumper. Now a huge set to the inside. Meanwhile, from Metzener, who's set on his side. Metzener goes for the bicycle. Now is nearly set for a tricycle through the corner all the way to the cushion.
Yeah, it looked like they pretty much were dragging a line. Look at this. We got 3 beating and banging on each other. 3 wide. And another little bit incident back there. Let's take another look at that whole thing unfold. As you can see, that shot from the suspension didn't show it yet, but we're going to see the contact as it starts to come in and diving into that corner. Gets up, not on the bicycle. He was driving on the doors. I don't even know how he pulled that off.
Yeah, and had to use other trucks as the safety training wheels. Just about.
And it's great to lean on a few of your friends out there, that's for sure. That's what friends are for.
Of note, one driver's just had troubles in live action who was in that grouping. Andrew Keepers is on his side and was in that battle for third in live action. Keepers is now back over, but Keepers got sent around as well with the flag stand.
And you got to wonder the damage. Oh, a hard hit out there. Did you see that on the K-rail? Wonder if that start... Oh, I think he was going for a little barrel roll there for a second. Almost pulled it off.
Keepers all the way back to 19th from that. Patino, Ramsey, and Cox did not make it on the first lap. Another driver is upside down right up the road from him. Metzener was in 11th. A couple of other drivers, such as Hill, have just crashed as well. Battle for the transfer is upside down. Another driver is flipped. It's Shea Price upside down and barrel rolling to the grass.
I don't know if that was 13 or 31. It was rolling. It was rolled so many times.
Let's look at this one. Wow.
13, 31, 13, 31, 13, 31. See?
He's going to be busy and dizzy after this one. Borison was the one with the contact, and the contact happened midair at the flag stand. Wow.
You got to wonder if you're wearing your VR goggles, how it affects you. And there's another one going up and over.
Borison has also crashed as well, by the way, now, and has had to tow. Sherlock, by the way, is leading, coming up to the white flag this time around. Miller's in second. The 440 is in third by a good 2 seconds. That's how much the wrestling match has turned into how many times can you flip my truck tonight? Yes. Meanwhile, that transfer battle has Burke sending it on in. And he's nearly flipped as he's sent nearly into some fence poles.
You got to wonder if they suspension on that, they're having a little damage and some problems.
Coming up to the final time around, Sherlock, remember, was one of the quickest drivers in his heat. Just ran out of time in the battle for the transfer spot. And now, with the white flag waving this time around, Sherlock looking for an LCQ victory to move on to the feature.
Well, there's the white flag you talked about. Sherlock, look at this gap that he has on second place now. And not something easily said. I mean, these fields have been stacked with talent. We've had 7, 8, 9 positions battling. Titus, the first one to pull away and not having a battle going on for that lead.
Very calm, cool, and collected, especially with the bumps around the track for the halfway portion of said lap. Our drivers in comfortable positions to move directly onto the feature race. We'll say it's been a lot of exciting battling on behind. Watson is still squabbling for the first spot out with Franks, but they will pass by the pit lane the final time. Final time around, Dave, in final sector. And Borison just came out of the pits as well, by the way. That will impact the line a bit for Miller and the 440. Both of them have passed by cleanly, though. So Titus Sherlock will get to the checkered this time. Titus Sherlock will dominate. First LCQ of the night. The Elite Esports machine was elite tonight in this one. Sherlock wins LCQ 1. Miller in second. Audio in third position. And Watson among the first drivers out. As a lot of shuffling happened on the final lap, worth noting before that checkered for fourth on back, Dave. Some wild battling in this LCQ.
Oh, absolutely. Well, LCQ means last chance to qualify. They're going to fight it out. They're going to throw all their chips on the table, and they did. But obviously, Titus came out on top.
Looking at the results of this LCQ, Sherlock, Miller, Audio, then Franks, Yeshik, Lester, Watson, Posey, Blank, and Folsom, the top 10. This LCQ. Then behind, it was Keepers, who was in a position to try and move on before being flipped upside down. Hill, Irvin, Linder, Carr, Metzinger, Sims, the last drivers on the lead lap. Then Borison down with Ramsey and 2 laps down as Burke. Price also was in a position to advance before being flipped upside down 2 laps down. Tino and Cox, the last drivers in this one. One more LCQ, 3 more spots on the line. Height Ritter will start alongside Rhett Slaff on the front row for this LCQ. Stefano will start in third with Paul in fourth, looking to redeem 51 machine and their point after the troubles last time. Sanders and Minder start 5th and 6th. Clement and Kirchmeier top 8. The drivers are already set to go. They're working hard. They're working to the green. They're off and away again from Bark River. This time, Retzlaff didn't take the run. Retzlaff went right behind Heitritter.
Well, we pretty much saw the outside we thought was fast, and I think Heitritter just pretty much proved us wrong. It's all about that reaction time. Heitritter had that one time to a T.
The battle for third getting ugly. Simino pushing a driver off. Minder with problems. Paul upside down. Kirchmeier with problems. Everybody with problems. 2, 3 trucks flipping upside down.
Definitely saw a tie-up off that rise. A couple of vehicles coming out there. You can see Hernquist, the 501, trying to fight his way up through it. He stayed out of the carnage. We're getting a run there. On board there with Trey.
Yeah, Hernquist.
Trey.
Up 7 spots, Dave.
Wow. Impressive. You know, he just came off a Baja 1000 win. Him and his dad. Very awesome.
And we talked about a little bit the prestige of winning those types of events, Dave. That is huge for your racing legacy and this type of racing.
Absolutely. When it comes to, you know, short course or desert, I mean, there's certain races. I mean, everybody talks about the brush run at the Big House in Crandon. Baja 1000, the Mint 400. Those 3 carry so much weight. And I'll tell you, it's just incredible. And at Bark River, the legacies that have been set here too, are just awesome. Great shot there with Reese Newer. He's even got the helmet on.
He's actually got the broadcast as well in the backdrop. Bottom left-hand corner of the screen as well. You have to know when you're on camera, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
21st from 21st to 13th, in fact, so far, but a lot of work to get up to the battle going on for third position. Newer may need some luck and a lot of it, to say the very least. Try and get up. How about 12th now, by the way?
And you can see how physical it is back in the back of the pack there. A lot of contact going on.
That was the battle for 11th position with the contact. Speaking of contact, there is some of it going on for the battle for third up the road because Minder just bullied the third place driver of the way. Minder with the bully back. Minder with the cross now comes across Paul's end. Now Minder now with the send back. Semino trying to run away. The 07 holds on to the transfer. Now this continuing to heat on up at the front.
And something must have happened to Hybrid as I saw him start going back as we take a look again at Minder's run.
Technical issues, I think, possibly, Dave. He had some on the first lap, and if that is indeed the case, that moves Minder into the bubble spot right now, Dave. Heitritter might not make the feature because of it.
Oh, look at this. Semino had a little contact.
This is the replay, what we're talking about.
Yep.
So they've had some history the past lap already, coming up to the white flag now. And I think they've now known these two are in the transfer spots because of the issue for Heitritter. Heitritter is now off the track.
And Paul, that is a shame there, but back on board Minder. You can see Paul right behind him. Minder, though, concentrate on Semino. He wants to try and get up another position because it's going to matter when it comes to lining them up for the main event. If you get in that qualifying position, you don't want to get as many cars up. And you can see he's set on that Florida Gator wrap on that thing of Semino. You got to love it. He's got to be proud of Florida. He's got the Gatorade, the Florida State Gators on the side.
Now they're down to the white flag. By the way, the 07 did hit the wall. For those who may have noticed, the left front is missing off that truck. So there is no left front fender now after hitting the wall going into the run towards turns 10, 11, and 12. Still, though, they'll just need to try and close it out for 3/4 of a lap. The next driver out currently is Brock Smith. Brock Smith is in fourth.
Well, great to see Brock Smith, the brother of Brent Smith, the voice of the championship off-road. They're both from Bark River, Michigan, so it's great. Oh, contact! Talking about it. I don't know if I'm throwing the announcer's curse out on him, but getting physical for sure. And look at this. Minder sliding back too.
This is all while Retzlaff is just running off and away towards the sunlight and the sunset. Coming up towards the checker flag this time, the 525 absolutely dominant in this one after some of the technical issues in front, but for the 525, Retzlaff will hold on indeed to win this LCQ. But how's things going to fare out for third? Minder had some bumping and banging. He does hold on. Semino in second. The first driver out is Smith, Dave.
Oh, that is a rough one to handle there. So close, but yet so far.
Rest of the drivers now closing things on out here. Among some of the notables, Ricky Johnson, despite some problems that final lap, had to take a tow, finished still in the top 12. But some of the air drivers with some massive movements for the pack. Sabre 18th to 10th, 24th to 12th, in fact, for Johnson. And give a shout out to Reese Newer, 21st to 7th in that LCQ.
Impressive. Yeah, he's a talented young driver for sure. You know, I just got to say, we have so much talent out here. Any one of these drivers, any type of qualify. And I've looked at the names that are in the LCQ that you just don't normally see in LCQ. That's how stacked a field of talent we have.
At lap Semino, Minder move on. Smith is sent home with Paul, Tinker, Newer, Onak, Crosby, and Sabre at the top 10. Kirchmeier also sent home, 75. Johnson, Morse, McCorkle, Keeble, Mittag, Cooper, Sean Brightsmith, last driver, the lead lap. Sanders, Carpenter, Clement, Wold, Hernquist, Heitritter, are also sent home. More action coming up right after this. You're watching iRacing Short Course Racing from Bark River on Podium Esports.
Hi everybody, it's Derek Perniciglio for Super Clean. But whether you work around the shop, the garage, or the home, spills are going to happen. And now, Super Clean introduces their new Super Clean floor absorbent into their new product line to make cleaning up spills faster and easier. This all-natural product comes in an easy-to-pour 3-pound shaker jug. Just shake out the amount you need over your spill, give it a few minutes to absorb, and then clean up in an instant. Unlike traditional clay products, this product is virtually dust-free and absorbs 4 times faster. Now, we break out our Super Clean cleaner and degreaser for a 1-2 punch to clean up the stain completely. You can pick up your own 3-pound shaker jug of all-natural Super Clean at AutoZone, and you can also check us out at superclean.com. Super Clean, super easy, super fast, super clean.
Welcome back to Podium Esports and its coverage of the iRacing Short Course National Series from Bark River International Raceway here in the state of Michigan. Tonight's action once more presented by the great sponsors who have been a part of this series throughout this campaign so far, including CBR Performance Products, Game Sports Data, Super Clean, Dirt Sports World, Signature Propellers, Positive Beverage, and Smith Graphics. Some great action so far tonight, Dave, and now that great action looks to see how things fare out for the feature race tonight. 12 laps up on the board, 18 drivers, and keep in mind, a good third of the drivers who scored points or were part of last week's feature, they have already been sent home.
Yeah, this was definitely shocking. Some of the names we saw that went to the LCQ that did not qualify blew me away for sure. But also some that struggled, fought their way, got into the main event, and looking for redemption out there. And that's going to be very interesting to watch for sure.
Now, the question remains, what will be the keys to victory to try and win tonight's feature, knowing how things played out last time out and how important some of these points positions will be this time out?
Well, for sure, the start is going to be everything. We saw it so many times. The one that started out, that got out front early on, took the win. The only one we did had some problems. It was a track, miscalculation by Mason Prater. But everybody else that jumped out front stayed out front and took the win. So get that lead.
Who will be the drivers to keep a watch for tonight, especially knowing some of the speed we've seen from some of your heat winners, but also some of the speed directly from the LCQ starting towards the back?
Well, I mean, that's true too, but unfortunately, some of the drivers we thought they were going to be up there fighting weren't. Had some problems in the LCQ, but Titus Sherlock, he walked away with it. Keaton Swain showing so much speed out there too, but I can't take anything away from Connor Berry. He was on point. Him and Mason Prater, they're going to be fighting for that top spot. To keep an eye on Darren Hardesty again and Titus Sherlock. I'm going to call my dark house out there, but Zach Drapkin, another key driver to fight in there.
I think it's going to be a fun feature to say the very least. And don't forget, there is a competition at the end of lap 5, which will regroup drivers at that point before they have a race controlled yellow flag period. So that's something that will also be an impact. It was the impact that was part of the difference making for who won the feature at Crandon.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this basically, you get them all bunched back up again, and all the mayhem, everything's unleashed a second time. That's why short course racing is so awesome and exciting.
So those drivers just wrapping up the practice session right now, and over the radio, been hearing a lot of them have had fun preparing themselves for this one. A lot of banter, let's put it that way, in terms of some of the drivers learning the track and learning how to race each other while also flipping upside down in some cases. Welcome to iRacing, everybody, and welcome to the feature. It's time to see how they'll start for tonight's feature. The top 3 have been inverted, which means Don Chalet starts on the pole after winning the 3rd heat. Swain, the Heat 2 winner, starts in 2nd. Connor Berry, the Heat 1 winner, starts in 3rd. And starts in 4th tonight. Then Felix Roy and Christopher Plumley round out the top 6. Mason Prater starts in 7th. Darren Hardesty in VR headset starts in 8th position. Tom Grady had to have a wrestling match to hold on to the transfer spots, starting in 9th, with Crystal King starting in 10th. Ethan Ebert and Zach Knowles start in row 6 tonight, with Titus Sherlock from the LCQ starts in 13th. Keep an eye on the 500. Very quick throughout the evening. Cody Retzlaff starts in 14th after winning the second LCQ. Miller and Simino, Leo and Minder rounding out the drivers starting tonight's feature. 1 minute to go. Final thoughts before we get rolling to the green flag, especially since it's gotten a little bit hotter. Not talking about just some of the pressure and the tempers possibly.
Well, it's a gorgeous spring day outside Bark River, Michigan here. I mean, this track, if you're thinking about it, if they tune these right to the weather like we do in real life, it's going to run well. This is perfect racing conditions out there. The sun's out. I mean, the track's not going to get too wet. It's not too hot where it's going to dry it out. I think they programmed this dirt perfect.
And don't forget as well, Martin Sports, the sponsor of your weather conditions tonight, is from the state of Michigan in the Upper Peninsula. So within the state as well. So a home sponsor.
Beautiful upper peninsula, the upper PI of Michigan. Gotta love it.
Gotta love the state of Michigan, to say the very least as well. Gotta love what we're about to see here for the iRacing Short Course National Series, Bark River International Raceway. As to the drivers' preparations coming on in. 12 laps up on the board. Competition caution, end of lap 5. See how things will roll for this one. The last of the good luck calls given over the radio. Barney the flagman has his green flag up in hand. Round 2, feature racing for the iRacing Short Course National Series is underway from Bark River. Dachalet already leading by Swain and Barry. A big check up into the first corner, and Barry is over the back end of Swain. Dachalet flips over Drepkin. Drepkin's 56 is in the wall. A couple more are crashing. Plumley, several more are stacking up like Legos in the corner.
A lot of speed coming out that turn. You can see a lot of physicality. He caused that issue. Drepkin, unfortunately, got the worst of it there. But Swain, man, right out the outside. We saw it all night long, except for once. But Swain was able to make it happen. And I guess we're going to take another look at this and see what happened on the start with Drepkin.
It's the Martin Sports on board. And keep in mind, this all started with your pole sitter for this run. Actually, it seemed like Dave had to lift off into the first corner, letting 2 drivers drive to the outside off the block.
Yeah, definitely. I think he just got on those binders to let everybody drive by him because he didn't want to get caught up in it.
Yeah, right there.
Yep. There was going to be contact. Now we're watching Drepkin. Drepkin actually got a little out of shape in the air, and I think when he landed on the hood, that's what caused his problem. Just a little bit of a racing incident. I don't think anybody took anybody out there.
Something just happened to Keaton Swain, meanwhile, and another technical issue, I think, Dave, and this is another leader with a technical issue, possibly. Swain is back, though. Swain needing to hope things stick together, though. That has already been a problem tonight already. We've seen for one driver in the LCQ.
Well, hopefully it doesn't happen out front there, but that gets difficult there. Barry, not know where to put his vehicle, and all of a sudden appears in the wrong spot. That could be disastrous for both of them. So hopefully no more problems tonight for him. But Barry, mirroring, look at these 2 drivers already starting to pull away. 2 laps already. That's how fast these 2 drivers are.
3 seconds plus almost 4 seconds already.
Incredible.
Coming up towards the end of the lap, Barry dialed in, and remember, Barry has showed he gets the run. Connor will take it. Connor tried to get the run that time, just to go back single file behind Swain. By the way, the second grouping is led by Hardesty currently, followed by Prater, Roy, and Ebert once the lead trucks. 10 laps to go in the feature.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting there with Prater battling with Hardesty. Those 2 are going to put on a great, but what I'm looking for these 2 is very clean driving. Swain, a clean driver. Barry, a very clean driver also. So if he's going to make the pass happen, he's got to hopefully, force Keaton into a mistake, or Keaton's going to make his own mistake. Because other than that, I mean, Keaton's hitting all of his marks.
And Keaton is now opening up the door for Barry. Barry hits him. Swain, though, with the clean run back. A little bit of tappy tap, but no, not too bad.
Yeah, that's it. You can see that Swain went a little wide in that corner. There was able to put his nose in there, but set up from that left to right, it still puts Swain in the correct position. And look at this battle now with Prater looking to the inside of Harsty. But again, Harsty, same position, set up to the inside, but Prater carrying a lot of speed, keeping a wheel right in that dry line.
By the way, the race leaders had more bumping and baiting as that move went on. Prater, meanwhile, you see, dialed on in, trying to run away from the side-by-side behind. Hardesty does hold on to the fourth position, though. Looks Roy continues to hold on to the fifth position in turn.
Well, you can see that Roy's wanting to get up into that little mix there, Justin. I'll tell you, he wants part of this.
Yep, a Canadian trying to battle around here, especially since the comp caution is less than 2 laps away, Dave. End of lap 5, remember, the competition caution will freeze the field and bunch them back up, intensifying that possibility for drivers needing to push hard here like this.
One of the great things is seeing, I watched Felix from last year to this year. He has put a lot of work in, and that's what's so great to see a driver progress like that. And Keaton Swain, definitely. He's been on I believe he got 1 podium last year, did it at Wild West Motorsports Park. But now, seeing how he's running up front, the times, how well he did at the first round, so impressed with that young man right now.
Next time around, competition caution expected. Of note, there was some contact in this grouping. Hardesty has apologized over the radio with contact with Prater. That has shed the right front of Prater's truck off. That has opened up the door for Roy. A lot of respect from the drivers being shown, and you see it with some of the space there, even through the jumps. They're leaving space right now.
Yeah, a lot of these kids that you mentioned right there have raced in real life to each other, so they know what it's like, to mess a vehicle up. And I think they're smart about treating it the same way.
Just as you finished up that point, there was contact, by the way, and more contact. Ebert and Hardesty bumping a little bit. Ebert is now up to the 5th position, +6 in this one. Mandatory caution coming up this time.
Well, short course off-road, I mean, it's unique from other motorsports. Contact is expected. If they're not, if it's vicious, they'll be warned. Other than that, we expect it.
Up towards the front, meanwhile, Barry has already closed up that 1 second gap down to 2, making 3 or 4 tenths. Will take the competition yellow at the flag stand this time around. Midway portion of this race. Swain takes the competition caution. Barry in second. Prater up to the 3rd spot. Roy did get up to 3rd before the comp yellow. Bert Hardesty, play. Brady Sherlock, king, top 10. One driver, I believe, did have a little bit of problems, though. Minder in the final corner ended up making contact with Retzlaff, and in turn, I believe may have had a course cut penalty that had to slow on down the 415 and lose 3 spots in the final corner.
That's just heartbreaking to hear when they do that. That's, but the rules are the rules, and that's the great thing about the admins that we have, keeping an eye on it. All of our race control for sure. But this is one of my favorite times, re-rack, restack the field. It's the race within the race. And that's what makes short course also unique from other motorsports. No other motorsports that we see halfway through the race. And that goes back to the core days with Jim Baldwin, who started that, and it's great. It makes great television, and it makes great for a viewing audience. They get to see 2 races within one.
Keep in mind, the restart coming out of turn 7 towards the run to turn 8. So they will take this run at the other end of this carousel. Justin Prince, Dave Arnold with you here on Podium Esports. For those just tuning in, this is the 2nd round of the iRacing Short Course National Series from Bark River International Raceway. Keaton Swain has led for the 5 laps so far. Barry has scored 1 led lap so far. Prater, Roy, Ebert, the top 5. Now they are expected to get the run The green flag. The field has now been handed into the control of Keaton Swain. And Swain will decide to park it on the nose of Berry. Off and away he goes. Green flag back out.
It's great to see that nothing changes. Just like in real life, the games continue. Psychological warfare, and you can see Swain kind of slows it up, let Berry goes into it, and able to try to shoot out. But Berry, luckily, was quick on that throttle response, able to stay right on him. But you can see Prater back there and Loy into the battle now in that fourth position.
Halfway now through this feature race. Berry keeping the pressure up. Prater looking to hunt things on down. Has already pulled away 3 truck lengths in one sector. Prater with a hard hit through the corners. Berry taking a higher line through turn 3. Remember, Prater is dealing with that right front fender being off the truck after the battle that went along earlier on, as Minder continues to not make friends in the back of the pack. Hearing over the radio, the 415 is getting pushed around.
Yeah, you talked about that contact earlier with Hardesty, and you can see he apologized. Oh!
Swain and Berry again making contact. Berry trying to dive it again to the inside, Dave, but couldn't make the move, and Prater is there. Prater with the hug. Prater with the tap as Berry holds on to second.
Well, this is when the race usually gets the most physical, the second half of it with these drivers. I mean, unfortunately, these guys are all pretty equal when it comes to driving styles and speed. You know, sometimes you got to force the situation. If someone leaves that inch, you might just have to stick your foot in there and kind of kick your way through. And that's what happens. That's expected out of a short course racer. But nothing that's going to take another driver out. Nobody likes that.
Mason Prater starting to look visually frustrated here. Nearly went head over heels, by the way, through that last jump section.
Yeah, I saw a little head cock on him. He's like, hey, what's going on here for a second? You can see that look in his eye.
Who's that look? Try move on forward. I believe we've seen that in a meme once, and it was involving a chipmunk. And will that be dialed on in to close up in time, though?
Well, I'll tell you, that is one angry chipmunk. Somebody just stole his nuts, and he's going back after him.
Still, though, Berry and Swain, nose to tail still. Keep in mind, Berry is looking very calm throughout all of this. In fact, I believe a little tiny smirk there.
They're going to say he must have looked a little sleepy there for a second. He's like, all right, just out for a nice little drive.
Very calm. And Berry, in turn, still makes that calmness to try and send it to the inside of Swain. Swain again holds on to the point. The top 3 starting to run away. For Felix Roy, 4 laps to go. 3 trucks battling for the lead.
And you're watching, Swain's lines as he goes through these corners now. He'll leave a little bit where Berry thinks he's going to be able to get through, but he's actually hitting that apex just perfect so he can keep the momentum and keep that drive out of the turn. And you can see it's paying off.
This set up the move properly for Berry now. Making the run through 4 and 5. Remember, Berry sent it a couple times in the run to turn 6. Berry is taking another look. Berry the send again. This time can't fully get to the inside of Swain. Swain on the defense again.
That's a tough one. It's almost like a little chicane there where it goes that right to the left real quick. So if you're going to have him on the outside coming in there, he's going to be set up to the inside of the next turn. So you're going to have to kind of think about cutting down a little bit early. Let's see if Berry's going to try to advantage. I know they use the first half of the race to try and look for those places where the drivers make mistakes. Well, I know that Prater's thinking the same thing about Berry. He's going if Berry's going to go to the inside at this position, he might actually take a different line, and you can see that speed. So he goes a little bit wide and goes around the outside. As I was speaking.
Yes, indeed, the run for second. Mason Prater's up to second. Berry gives him space. Meanwhile, talk about chipmunks and battling for certain objects. They are battling hard on behind. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th swapped about 4 times in 3 corners last time around. Hardesty has pushed his way up to 4th.
And you see great shots there. We just saw Scott Drapkin there, Zach Drapkin, and then again Ethan Ebert there. Still looking calm. A lot of wheel movement there. He is really fighting that car right now.
Drapkin, remember, started up towards the front. Remember, was involved in that incident early on in this one. A good recovery up to 9th.
Yeah, he definitely had a rough one. He actually got flipped around, popped out and into the K-rail, and it is nice to see him recover there. Used to seeing him up there as a front runner last season. Saw quite a few podiums, but tell you, this year with other drivers moving up, I think our talent field is so deep, it's going to be a fight to get on the box every time.
Meanwhile, Mason Prater needs to fight to close up 9/10 and 2 laps. 2 laps to go up at the stand, and Prater trying to close things up now. Hyper-focused as Prater still up on the wheel. Last time, Prater actually lost 3/10 to Keaton Swain. Now he's actually moving in the seat.
Yes. I was going to say, Prater's having a lot of head movement there, looking around, looking at those different screens there, trying to get another perspective.
Be enough time for Prater to get the send on forward. Berry has dropped back to 2 seconds behind the race leader. Hardesty and Roy have now broken away from Daunchelet, Grady, Rapkin, along with Ebert, as we saw some bumping and Bainey. Speaking of some of that, you see that going on in the midst of this battling. Tom Grady amongst those. Crystal King quietly has also been battling along the edge of the top 10. Sherlock, we expected to be a fast driver in this one, has only gotten up to 10th.
Yeah, he's definitely got caught back there, and you saw that damage out there with Crystal King, so she's having issues. Titus, though, you know, it's difficult. If you get caught up there and ping-ponged anything early on, and that's why I talked about the keys to the race, you got to be in the top 3 right out of the gate on that first lap. Otherwise, it's going to be a fight. And if you don't make your move right off that comp caution, you're going to be back in the pack just fighting with yourself.
Final lap is underway, meanwhile, for the second round of the iRacing Short Course National Series for the winter time, as Swain pulled another 2/10 away from Mason Prater. Just half a lap away for Swain for the victory. Looking for 11 of 12 lead laps in this one.
Well, the way that it's looking right now, if he comes across that checkered flag, he will take that lead in the championship points.
Meanwhile, behind them for the battle for 4th, Roy and Hardesty are moving each other for that spot. Hardesty hugs the inside this time. Makes the pass on back through turn 7. Back towards turns 8, 9, and 10 they go. Roy is not backing off as Swain looks to take the checkered.
And you can see that Hardesty basically took Roy, took him high up into the turn. You know, he knew if he was going to cut down, it could change his position. So very smart move. But a smart move right there is Keaton Swain as he makes that run for the checkered flag.
Keaton Swain is your winner at Bark River. He wins the second round. The iRacing Short Course National Series campaign. Prater in second. Connor Berry rounds out the podium in this one. Roy did finish in 4th. And several more have already taken the checkered and are showing their displeasure with one another by having a conference in the middle of the grass. With that, post-race coverage coming up right after this. You're watching Podium Esports for coverage of the iRacing Short Course National Series from iRacing's virtual Bark River International Raceway.
Hi everybody, it's Derek Perniciglio for Super Clean. But whether you work around the shop, the garage, or the home, spills are going to happen. And now, Super Clean introduces their new Super Clean floor absorbent into their new product line to make cleaning up spills faster and easier. This all-natural product comes in an easy-to-pour 3-pound shaker jug. Just shake out the amount you need over your spill, give it a few minutes to absorb, and then clean up in an instant. Unlike traditional clay products, this product is virtually dust-free and absorbs 4 times faster. Now, we break out our Super Clean cleaner and degreaser for a 1-2 punch to clean up the stain completely. You can pick up your own 3-pound shaker jug of all-natural Super Clean at AutoZone, and you can also check us out at superclean.com. Super Clean, super easy, super fast, super clean.
Back to Podium Esports coverage of the iRacing Short Course National Series, presented by CBR Performance Products, AIM Sports Data, Super Clean, Dirt Sports World, Signature Propellers, Positive Beverage, and Smith Graphics from iRacing's virtual Bark River Circuit. Justin Prince, Dave Arnold with you in the broadcast booth for the producer Ryan Bauer, in what has been an entertaining one, but in the end, one driver dominated throughout the evening, from practice to qualifying to heat to feature. That was your feature winner tonight, with just one lap not led tonight. That was Keaton Swain. Mason Prater finished in second, 1.4 seconds back, with Connor Berry being in third. Roy Hardesty rounded out the top five. Joshua and Rapkins finished in 6th and 7th. Ebert, Grady, Sherlock rounded out tonight's top 10. Right on behind, Crystal King finished in 11th. Claudio finished in 12th, up 5 spots from the starting spot for the 440. 7-0 finished in 13th. Plumlee actually had to go on the tow truck at one point after the first lap. Still recovered to finish in 14th. Knowles, Retzlaff, Minder, Miller rounded out the entries, 16 seconds the difference from 1st to 18th tonight. But Keaton Swain dominated. That's actually an understatement with the speed Swain showed throughout the evening in the composure. Keaton, you're a feature winner this season in iRacing short course competition. How are you feeling after the run tonight here at Bark River?
Yeah, it definitely feels good to finally get one of these. Been racing this series for last year or so and haven't been able to get a win, so to finally get one, it definitely feels good.
What were your thoughts as you were trying to battle with Connor Berry? Because Berry looked very calm, cool, and collected with the webcam provided from his perspective. What was your perspective like?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was putting the pressure on me, and he was fast, no doubt, but I knew if I could just stay calm and just run my lines and run my race that I'd probably be all right. And luckily, he made a slight mistake, and I think got a time penalty, and that's all I needed to get a little distance between him and myself and Mason. So to come away with a win in the second round and be on the box both rounds so far is good for the points and good for the championship.
Speaking of that run so far, looking very strong early on, but the next run, Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, your thoughts for that one for the third race of the season?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. You know, it's real like a bull ring, so it's real tight and small track. And I know Connor's fast there, so I'm going to have to put in the work, see if I can find a little bit of speed. And, you know, my goal is just to keep it on the podium all season long.
Who do you want to thank for the run tonight?
I just got to thank everyone that helps me out, Appliance Parts Company, everyone at Factory SimSport, SimCoach Pedals, ZK Designs for making our whole team look good on the track, Team 12 Rotations, everyone that puts on Connor's League, and you guys for doing the broadcast as well.
Congratulations, Keaton, on the run tonight.
Thank you.
Keaton Swain, your feature winner tonight, and as mentioned, breaking through for victory number 1 for this campaign and his time in this series. Mason Prater, meanwhile, talked about his speed in this series in the past. Speed continues with the podium finish. He's with Dave.
Mason, I'll tell you, man, watching you race out there was so nice, but yeah, it looked like you were a few little frustrated there in the last couple of laps there. Justin and I were looking at you, and you had that look, your head had that cock on, and you were going, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I've put in a lot of work this week. I mean, after last week kind of coming out and getting my butt whooped, I kind of knew I had to come in and put more hours in and just get more comfortable with the car and the track and get back into that tune. So I feel like I put in a lot of work. And, I mean, we're still that little bit off. We're a lot more competitive this week. I stayed with the pack, and I was able to pounce on a mistake when Connor made one, which is very, very rare to see. But I was able to pounce on it. But, I mean, we're just that little bit off to keep up with Keaton and be there to make a move. So, I mean, we're definitely going to have to put our heads down. It's going to be a long season. Keaton and Connor are just so fast. So got to put in more work, put in the hours, you know, just be there and pick up that last few couple tenths, and we'll be right there with them.
Now, I know early on you had a little contact and you can see a little damage caused to your car with Darren early on. Was that a factor at all? But it looked like when you broke away with them, you were able to catch back up to the leaders.
Yeah, I mean, me and Darren, we were both battling pretty hard. I mean, I know me and him both wanted to be up there, and I mean, luckily I got away with it in the front, and I don't think it was too much damage. I mean, I think it was only body, but I mean, who knows? Maybe that 1 or 2 mile an hour that the motor had, who knows? Maybe it played a factor. But Connor and Keaton were battling pretty hard, and I was lucky enough to have them keep on battling, where I could catch back up to their bumper and just be staying with them, and ready for one of them to make a mistake.
Well, I know you're going after another championship, and of course, being on the podium again the second week in a row really helps. So, what are your thoughts going into you now? Are you feeling comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as been the last 3 seasons that I've won it. I mean, I just got to start off strong and keep on building a momentum, kind of snowball a whole entire season together and see where that puts me. Like the last few seasons, I don't think I've ever been the fastest driver on track at any given point. I mean, I've been the fastest on week in and week out, but I mean, I've always just been the most consistent driver in the top 3. And I mean, last season I missed the podium, I think 2 times, maybe 3. So I think that's going to play a big factor in, just getting up there and trying to bring home the 4th consecutive title.
Well, I'm going to say congratulations to you for getting there in second place. And I know you have a lot of people that stand behind you and your team that make this possible, whether it's in the virtual world as well as the real world.
Yeah, I want to give a big thanks to Luke Canup. He made that wrap. I mean, it looks killer. I mean, he produces all my wraps pretty much, and they always look great. So can't thank him enough for always having me looking good on track. Elite Esports, my teammates Titus and Hunter. Titus ran a phenomenal race, and so did Hunter. Unfortunately, Hunter had some bad luck and couldn't make the main, but he was still there spotting for me and getting me through and giving me some helpful feedback. So can't thank them enough. Bill Steen, Sparko, CBR, Voodoo Graphics, Toyo Tires, Prater Racing, AP Media for the help. All my friends that get on and work with me and just build tunes, and everybody that's like a part of this iRacing community that's out there and helping us get better. I mean, my parents, they funded this whole entire thing, so I wouldn't be out there without them. Rampy Motorsports, Ruthless Karting, the admins for coming out here and putting in the time every single week to make this series happen for us. The racers that come out and, like I said, come out here and race and have this series keep on going, and everyone who watches online. Just can't thank you guys enough, and can't thank you guys enough, too, for always making the races interesting to watch.
Well, thank you. Mason Prater, everybody.
Mason Prater's second step at the podium tonight. Third spot tonight went to one Connor Berry. And interested on this response from Connor because it was alluded to that there may have been a time penalty that factored in that battle for the race lead. Connor, what did happen there after that pass we seen by Prater?
I tried to go for it, and we made some contact, and it pushed me off the track, which was just a bummer deal, but it was all my fault. I should have just been more patient. I was for sure the fastest on track, so I knew that I could get to first. Just it's so hard to find the spot to pass here, and time was starting to be out, and I needed to go, I guess, but I should have just been more smarter. But to still come home with a third, that's pretty good overall. It's still just awesome to be in the third place because we are still doing good on points and just got to keep up the consistency.
Yes, indeed. And our podium to start things on off, indeed. And how would you describe the battling that you've seen so far from your perspective, since you're a big part of a lot of the action we see being able to take place here in this, and knowing how many real-world drivers in turn have been able to take their skills and transfer them unilaterally in many cases to the sim?
Yeah, it is for sure fun. I mean, we are all just battling, and everyone is just so fast, and it just takes one mistake and your whole race isn't done, but it's for sure in jeopardy to the point where you need to just focus back, and it showed tonight. I was obviously fast, and I made the mistake, and it cost me the second, and it could have been a win, but we never know, and we always learn, and I learned that I just need to be more patient and
Well, the next race takes us to another journey to see how things fare out for the first trip around. It's Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, and based on some of the history there What are you expecting January 20th?
I'm expecting a lot of Dorian. That track is very small. It's very tight for these trucks, so times are close. Like the top 5 will all be within the same same 10. So everyone is just gonna be close. It's gonna be tight, and you're gonna see some bumping. Just hopefully we can all stay on 4 and just have a good battle. That's about all that track gets. It's just tight, small, and yeah.
Who do you want to thank for the run tonight in your bluish machine?
Yeah, for sure. I want to give a big thanks to Jim Beaver Esports, CBR, Vision Wheel, General Tire, next level racing, and all of you guys for doing the streaming for this league, and all of my admins and staff.
Congratulations once again on the run tonight, Connor.
Thank you, guys.
Connor Berry rounds out the podium. I'd like to thank him, Mason Prater, Keenan Swain, for taking the time to speak with us. And Dave, more exciting action throughout this one this evening, but in the end, Keenan Swain absolutely blistering quick from the get-go. Dominant in practice and qualifying, and in turn it translated to the heat in the feature.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was no shock out there seeing what he showed there out in the early on races and carrying on the momentum from last weekend. Didn't take the win last week, but this week that speed paid off for him for sure. He'll be one to keep an eye on for sure, but like Connor Berry said, it's going to be a tight one this next time around when we go to this next track in Arizona. It is going to be tight and it's going to be physical, so we'll have to see how it all plays out.
It's going to be a wild one, let's put it that way. It's going to be an exciting stretch of races coming up, to say the very least, to see how the first half of the campaign bears on out. Again, that's at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, a track that many of these competitors know well. Comes to some of the pro scenes. That is Thursday, January 20th, 2022. 10 p.m. Eastern Time will be that respective coverage on there. And you mentioned some of the alluding to of some of that close action expected. Going to be so critical in turn to see how that plays out for those drivers.
Yeah, one thing for sure, this is all left-hand turns except for a one right-hand turn. So these guys are going to play on a lot of momentum, leaning on the left hand, a lot of hairpins, and a big ski jump to hit. So it's going to be for exciting. And of course, I always expect action and a little bit of physicality coming out of these drivers when they go into Wild Horse Pass.
Remembering some of the memories, I think, with some of the action I've seen, especially with that ski jump you're referring to a little bit.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of the drivers in turn going 3 wide, some of them actually doing several tumbleweedings through the corners, and barrel rolls, so to speak, is the more appropriate term. It's not the easiest track to try and get through cleanly for anyone.
No, and of course, you know, this may have been a wider track we just came from, but the race line was narrow. This is a narrow track, which makes that race line even narrower. So basically, let's say thread the eye of a needle. That's what these drivers are going to have to do to get through the pack, you know, this next week.
And in terms of that track, knowing what you've seen so far this season, knowing some of their tendencies from the real world and the virtual world, which drivers in turn can carry that momentum from the first couple weeks forward to there for that type of racing?
Well, yeah, I know for sure that Connor Berry is going to do well, but, you know, after talking with Mason Prater, and, you know, Mason is from Arizona, that is his home track. He has spent so much time in that track in real life, you know, laying down practice time, let alone in the sim. I think he's going to have probably one of the biggest advantages there. He has always excelled at Wild Horse Pass.
Exciting action next week out. It's going to be a show, to say the very least, to see how third round of the campaign for iRacing short course action handles things out over in that state of Arizona. We'd like to thank you once more for tuning in for tonight's action here on Podium Esports. For Ryan Bauer, James Pike, Cisco Scaramuza, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore at Podium Esports. For everyone behind the scenes at the iRacing Short Course Series. For our camera builder, Dougie Beer, Pro Cameron, Aberon, social media, as well as Nicholas Weatherby tonight. For our producer this evening, Ryan Bauer, and for my colleague in the booth, Dave Arnold, my name's Justin Prince. Thank you so much for watching tonight's action here from Bark River. Hope to see you next time at Wild Horse Pass, and stay tuned for a Light Divided concert. If you like what you hear, browse the band's full library on Spotify. Be sure to follow A Light Divided on Instagram today. Be sure for those watching on Twitch to use the command !music. Good night. Enjoy the fun in the music.
that you love to spit. I'm sick of fighting for grip. I know I'm gonna give in because it makes me so sick, so sick, so sick. Yeah. words that you love to spit. I'm sick of fighting for grip. I know I'm gonna give in because it makes me so sick. So the more that I fight, the noise in my life, the more I find the words that start in the fire. I wanna survive, I wanna ignite, but I'm still resting on the edge of my life, begging for a sign of gravity, hoping for a change beneath my feet. Come show me, just show me. The one thing that you love. How do you just dive so big and deep into who you are? The only place that I can turn without judgment when I've been burned. Afraid that I'm not, afraid that I'm not strong enough to pretend to be so tough. But I promise myself I'd never give up. Here I am for you to see. Take it or leave it, leave it, leave it. This is me. Right here, right now is all I've got to save me from this. Here I am. Sometimes I think if it weren't for my band, then I'd have no voice at all. Oh, I guess that I'm not much with words, but I'm so full of emotion. Some say too much passion and they fade to weak pain. But I won't fake it, I won't take it anymore. I won't stand for it. Here I am for you to see. Take it or leave it, leave it, leave it. This is me. Right here, right now is all I've got to save me from this. Here I wish someone would teach you what it's like to have a broken heart. I hope that someone out there has what it takes to bring you back to earth. Trying, but I can only do so much. My love, you're so clearly out of touch. And when you do finally wake up, I hope it kills you that these words are all that's left of us. Here I am for you to see. Take it or leave it, take it or leave it. This is me. For you to see. Take it or leave it, leave it, leave it. This is me. Right here, right now is all I've got to save me from this. Here I am.
think anything?
Nothing.
Another day, another broken plan. Feels like the world is slipping through my hands. I think I'm losing control. Can't seem to find my way home. I stare and watch my only map turn itself into stone. I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. Life screaming over radio silence. I think you're breaking up. 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 I wonder if you'll ever understand. I sacrifice you to avoid the end. Don't think that you'll ever know just how low I would go to save myself from all the madness in your undertow. I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. Left screaming over radio silence. I think you're breaking up. 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 We're in a different place, and nothing feels the same. I hate to break it to you, baby, but I'll be okay. Don't try to call my name, won't answer anyway. You're breaking up, but I wish that you would just fade away. I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. Left screaming over radio silence. I think you're breaking up. 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 How do you give up on the one thing that you love? How do you just dive so big and deep?